how Russell T Davies revived and then destroyed Doctor Who. So, in this video we're going to be talking about the writer Russell T Davies and how he ultimately revived and kicked some brand new life into the show of Doctor Who, which is the show that we all love, or loved, back when it was in its golden era. And then we're going to be talking also about how Russell actually ended up sort of going into his own sort of personal beliefs and pushing them into the show to the point where it's actually damaged the show and where people have actively stopped watching and the viewing figures have actually been on the decline, etc, etc. So yeah, we're going to get into this video right now. This is going to be quite an interesting video because we're going to be talking about both sides of the spectrum. And yeah, I just think this is going to be a very, very interesting video. So if you're new around here, hit that subscribe button, turn on the post notifications and smash a like on this video. We massively appreciate your support on this YouTube channel, and if you like Doctor Who content or just like Doctor Who in general, then this is definitely the channel for you, because we post brand new Doctor Who videos every single week. No matter how much or how little Doctor Who news there is, you will at least get a brand new video every single week, which I'm very, very excited about. So let's dive into this video. So back in 2005, Russell T Davies kickstarted Doctor Who back into the spotlight in such a position which could arguably be even higher than it's ever been before. Doctor Who is at its most popular at this specific period of time, and all of this is thanks to the amazing people who were working on the show at the time. One of those being Russell T Davies, and one of them being Christopher Eccleston, because he did an awful lot for this show, and his Doctor ultimately brought the show back into the spotlight, and David Tennant just carried that torch and blew it up to a whole other level. Doctor Who was back in full force, and it was bigger, brighter, and more exciting than ever before. We had the Daleks returning, we then had the Cybermen returning, we had all of these villains returning, we had Autons back in the first episode, throwbacks to classic Who, brand new epic monsters like the Slitheen. We had so much cool stuff in this era of Doctor Who, and ultimately I'd say this era birthed some of the best episodes of television ever. And again, this is very much in credit to Russell T Davies. Back at this point in time, he was a young aspirational writer who had a lot of passion for Doctor Who and wanted to take it into a brand new, really exciting place. He put all of his time, all of his energy, all of his effort into creating these really good quality stories that people could enjoy of all ages throughout the family. You know, you had kids watching the show, you had adults watching the show, people who used to watch the show who came back to watch the show, and all of them absolutely loved it. Russell did an amazing job of growing the show back to what it could be, and I've got to say, and give credits to where credit's due, with the budget of Doctor Who, he brought back the budget of Doctor Who. The reason that Doctor Who had their budget was because of this man. And all of that stuff is really, really amazing. And for a lot of people, this is where it ended. This is where, this is where it ended. Everyone just thought, okay, if Russell T Davies is going to come back, it's going to be back in 2009 again. We're going to have 2009 Doctor Who with better graphics. And that is what a lot of people expected. I half expected myself, I'm not even going to lie. And we couldn't be further from the truth. To say this, we're going to have to basically look at the in-between part and look at the two writers who took over the show after Russell T Davies ended his era as showrunner in 2009. He passed the mantle on to Stephen Moffat, who is a creative genius in his own remarks, and the person who wrote Doctor Who when I first started watching it. Doctor Who Series 5, with Matt Smith, Stephen Moffat at the helm, writing the series, is genuinely what I think of when I see Doctor Who. I think of Prisoner Zero, I think of the Smilers, I think of Starship UK, I think of the New Paradigm Daleks and how intimidating they were. I think of how well Matt Smith acted in that scene against the Daleks. He felt so much like the Doctor in that scene. His fiery rage against the Daleks, his confusion of how they came back, all of it was perfect. Although Victory of the Daleks got a lot of criticism, one of its main criticisms were it wasn't long enough. People wanted more good quality stories with Matt Smith and the Daleks, and you know what? Stephen Moffat delivered. He brought us a lot of good Matt Smith stories. And some of my favourite of all time are in this Matt Smith era. And as the era went on, the Doctor changed from Matt Smith to Peter Capaldi. And I really enjoyed Series 8 and Series 9. Absolute peak of Doctor Who, in my opinion. I think this was, again, part of the golden era, which, in my opinion, stretched from David Tennant all the way through to Peter Capaldi. Series 10 was a turning point for me. I think with Series 10, I got a little bit bored with some of the stories, and I must admit, Series 10 is my least rewatched series of the Peter Capaldi era. Now, I know a lot of people have a view on Series 10, and a lot of them are very, very polarizing. Like, some people hate Series 10, some people loved it. To some people, Series 10 ended the show. For me, I thought Series 10 was quite mixed, in my opinion, from how I remember it. I remember it being good, I remember it being well written, etc., but it wasn't as memorable to me. There was a couple of episodes which just slipped under my sort of memorable Doctor Who episode. But one thing I do remember about Series 10 is it had a damn good ending. The ending of Peter Capaldi's era is absolutely insanely good. Bringing back the Mondasian Cybermen in a very terrifying, dark way, to having the first Doctor meet back with the 12th Doctor's incarnation to tell him that, yeah, well, basically, to tell each other that, yeah, it's time to regenerate. And so Peter Capaldi did regenerate, and Stephen Moffat left the role and passed on the mantle to Chris Chibnall. Now, Chris Chibnall wanted to take the show in a bold new direction, with a new Doctor, a new TARDIS team, and new ideas. He basically wanted to change everything about the show and bring it in a new direction, which failed miserably. Jodie's first season was possibly the worst leg to start off on. There was no returning villains except for the Daleks in the New Year's special, and even then, it was too little too late. The ratings were down, people were bored of the show, and most of the fan base had left. They didn't even want to go another season, which is a real shame, because Series 12 did get better. There were some stronger stories in there. There were some bad stories in there, don't get me wrong. But during the end of the series, there were some stronger stories. I really liked that Cyberman 3-parter at the end of the series. I thought it was pretty cool. I thought that it was the strongest element of Jodie's era. And then came along Doctor Who Flux. Again, very, very strong in my opinion. Compared to all of the other Jodie Whittaker stuff. The strongest season of her era. Bear in mind, we had some specials in that season. We had Eve of the Daleks, which genuinely, it was a really good episode. We had Legend of the Sea Devils, which was it's a bit mid, I'm not gonna lie. And then we had Power of the Doctor, which in my opinion is Jodie's best episode. It's just a shame that it's the last episode in a series, and she had to move on. And so did Chris Chibnall. Everyone decided to quit Doctor Who, and the show was again up in air. Nobody knew what was going to happen with the show. And then we got an announcement. Russell T Davies is back. Everybody is excited. Everyone is ecstatic. People who haven't been Doctor Who fans for years are talking about it. They want to see this new Doctor Who content. They want to see these new 60th anniversary specials with David Tennant coming back, Catherine Tate coming back. It's all ecstatic. Everybody is excited for this. And what a letdown everything became. For the most part, I was very excited for these 60th anniversary specials, and for the most part they delivered really, really well. I think that they were a very, very big success. A lot of people watched them, a lot of people enjoyed them, but there were some sprinklings of Russell T Davies's personal opinions and views being pushed and shoehorned into the series. And as season 1 rolled around with Ncuti Gatwa, this problem only got worse. Every single episode in Ncuti's series seemed to focus on a particular tick box, or a particular tick box, or a particular political opinion which came into the show. And for me, I think that lowered the quality of the writing. I think it was a bit lowered in the first place, and then this just almost weighed it down. Also, I think Doctor Who should be something to escape from your everyday life. It should be a form of escapism and entertainment, and when you bring real life politics and real life subjects and things into the show, it no longer becomes people's quick getaway, because we are instantly reminded of all of these things that we wanted to escape and just sit down for 45 minutes on a Saturday and just forget about everything and just indulge in some good quality sci-fi content. And yeah, this is where things really started to go downhill, I would say. We had a brief peak again with the 60th anniversaries, and then it's starting to go back downhill again. I do actually have some stuff, I believe, to show right here, and we're going to talk about something interesting which I just found out about the most expensive episode of Doctor Who Season 2. Number 1 is that the episode might not even air on BBC One. Russell T Davies explains why. We are, of course, talking about the Interstellar Song Contest, and apparently it might be an iPlayer only release, and this is not looking good. Season 2 was supposed to be the big decider of, encouraging Disney Plus to, renew a third season of Doctor Who, and this really doesn't look that great, because not airing it on BBC One is not the best choice. I would have preferred if they would have just moved it to avoid clashes, but let's go ahead and read into this a little bit more. This says, things might be about to get very timey-wimey, as it seems Doctor Who's Eurovision-inspired episode is in danger of not getting a BBC One transmission because of the real-life Eurovision Song Contest. Which means, in that situation, Russell, just reschedule it. Reschedule it, put out a notice, put out a warning, something to say to the fans, okay, we're going to reschedule it and it's going to be on at this time. Or it's going to be on this specific day, we'll do it on a Sunday instead, or something, just something to give us. But apparently, Russell doesn't want to do this. He also says, the 6th episode of the show's upcoming 15th season, which comes from writer Juno Dawson, is titled The Interstellar Song Contest, and we'll see Ryan Clark guest starring one of the hosts. Again, you can just read that if you want to. But yeah, essentially, Russell is saying, we're not going to move this, we're just going to see what happens, and if it doesn't air, it's just not going to air. That's not great. I'm not going to lie, that is not great things to hear, especially when you're looking at this episode, and especially considering this is the most expensive episode of your series. It should be the one that you want to push the most traffic to, because you want people to see this big spectacle of an episode that you've been teasing for ages. This episode is also written by Juno Dawson, and we've made some content about this person before now. As you can see, here is a picture. There is also some very interesting stuff which I spoke about more, but here is a little look right here. Juno Dawson's book has actually been removed from the books reading guide, the Children's Books Island reading guide, and as you can see down below, that is why. I'm not going to fully explain this because I have explained it in depth in another video. You can go ahead and check out that video on my channel if you want to see what happened and what my opinions and thoughts on that entire thing is. But I thought, well, whilst we're mentioning that and, mentioning this entire thing, I thought I'd just put that out there. So yeah. This is looking very, very interesting because this series is the decider. This series is the big decider on Disney saying, we want a season 3, or saying, we don't want any part in this. This is the big decider of Disney going, okay, this is really, really cool, let's commission another season. Or saying, yeah, it's not bringing us enough views or money, we're just going to sack the show off. And to have one of your episodes not even broadcast is a huge disadvantage. And if this series doesn't perform well, and Disney doesn't pick up this show, we're going to be seeing, yet again, another downgrade in Doctor Who, because it's going to be a Disney, it's not going to be Disney funded anymore, so they're going to have all the budget removed. They're then going to have to go on hiatus probably for about a year or two before they can actually figure out what's going on. And on top of that, they're going to have to either negotiate with another streaming platform who may offer some money. Again, if they see the numbers going down, if they see Disney dropping them, then it's going to be more difficult for you to get in partnership with, again, another streaming platform. So then the final option is just to have to the BBC to fund this, which means a huge drop in quality, a huge drop in budget, and if anything, that's just going to put people who started watching this show for the budget again, started watching for these big, grandiose, like, huge episodes, all of these people are just going to leave because the budget's gone. The quality's going back down, and the writing is probably not going to change at all. So I don't think it's going to have a positive effect on Doctor Who at all, if this does happen. Again, you also have Disney, who were really pushing this out to the American and worldwide audience. That's not going to be there anymore. The BBC's going to have to market them themselves, and of course that's not going to be anywhere near as big as the marketing budgets that Disney put into the show. And yeah, I don't think this is going to cause a great outcome. So that is my whole video on how Russell T Davies revived the entire show, and then subsequently is throwing it on this downward spiral that, in my opinion, will not lead to anything positive for the show, I would say. Whatever happens to the show, I just wish and hope that maybe some new writers can come along and revive it and really kick some energy back into the show, because ultimately I love Doctor Who, and I don't want to see this show die. I don't want to see the show that I grew up watching fade away, and I don't want to see it go out like this. Absolutely not. So yeah, if you enjoyed this video, please smash a like on this video, smash that subscribe button, turn on the post notifications. We're trying to get to 100k subscribers on this YouTube channel, and I'd massively appreciate it if you could support the channel by subscribing and liking and sharing these videos, because it massively means a lot to me, and it allows me to create more good content for you guys. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Please comment, like and subscribe, and I'll see you all in the next video. Peace.